In a brazenly stunning attempt to intimidate a congressional witness on the eve of their testimony, the Biden Department of Justice is requesting of a federal judge that Devon Archer have a date set where he is to report and be jailed. Who's Devon Archer, you ask? Oh, he just happens to be the one person who can put Joe Biden in the same room as his son Hunter, as Hunter is discussing business deals with foreign investors. What does it all mean? Hang on, folks. We're going to get into all this in just 1 second. My name is Brian Trippett. I am your front porch conservative. Step on up to my electronic front porch and let's talk. One of the most highly anticipated witnesses to come before James Comer's House Oversight Committee is one Devon Archer. Now, for those of you not familiar with who he is, Devon Archer is Hunter Biden's old business partner. And you can begin to understand, on the basis of what I just said, why it is congressional Republicans are almost desperate to get him in front of the committee, be sworn in, and give testimony about what he knows as it relates to Hunter Biden and the relationship with his father Joe, the current president, as it relates to Hunter's business dealings. However, something very strange happened over this weekend where the Department of Justice is requesting a date from a federal judge requiring Devon Archer to report to jail. So, what does all this mean? Let's get into it right now. We're going to start with an article from Politico. Headline: As he prepares for Hill testimony, Hunter Biden's ex-business partner also trying to fend off jail. The request from a U.S. Attorney's Office isn't expected to impact Devon Archer's Monday meeting with a House committee. Article written by Kyle Cheney and Jordan Carney. On the eve of a high-profile testimony to a House committee, Hunter Biden's longtime business partner, Devon Archer, is wrangling with the Justice Department about when he should report to prison on unrelated charges. A jury in 2018 convicted Archer of 2 felonies for his role in a conspiracy to defraud a Native American tribe, but his 2022 sentence has been repeatedly postponed amid a long-running series of appeals. On Saturday, the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York, oh, there's the first problem right there, wrote to trial judge Ronnie Abrams and asked her to schedule a date for Archer to report to prison after the Second Circuit Court of Appeals finalized an order days earlier upholding his 1-year sentence. The court isn't expected to make a decision before Archer will meet behind closed doors with the House Oversight Committee, meaning that even if the court ultimately sides with the request, Archer wouldn't have to report to prison before the meeting. And his attorney said in a statement he will move forward with his planned appearance on Monday. A spokesperson for the Office of the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York declined to comment on the filing or the timing of the letter, but according to the one-page letter filed by Assistant U.S. Attorney Nigar Tikii, prosecutors had asked Archer's attorney to recommend a reporting date in light of the Second Circuit ruling but were rebuffed. Archer's counsel, according to the DOJ letter, said it was, quote, premature to set a sentencing date because Archer was considering further appeals and intended to raise an error in the sentencing process. Archer's lawyers plan to file a response to the U.S. Attorney's Office demands by Wednesday. Matthew Schwartz, Archer's attorney, also rejected the notion that there's any connection between Archer's tiff with the Justice Department and his potentially imminent jail time. Quote, we are aware of the speculation that the Department of Justice weekend request to have Mr. Archer report to prison is an attempt by the Biden administration to intimidate him in advance of his meeting with the House Oversight Committee, Schwartz said in a statement. To be clear, Mr. Archer does not agree with that speculation. In any case, Mr. Archer will do what he has planned to do all along, which is show up on Monday and to honestly answer the questions that are put to him by the congressional investigators. Okay, let's get into this. I'm throwing the BS flag on this one. I get it. Archer has to make that kind of statement. His lawyer has to make that kind of statement. But I'm sorry. This is bullcrap. This is garbage. This is, in the words of one U.S. Senator, banana republic tactics. Okay? Now, let me back up and kind of explain what's going on here. As the article indicated, in 2018, Archer was found guilty on two felony counts of trying to defraud a Native American tribe. He's been found guilty, but sentence has been handed down, but he's not in jail yet because he's been engaged in a number of appeals. Okay, you can argue whether that's good or bad, but that's a whole other issue. He's still currently not in jail. On Tuesday of last week, the Second Circuit Court affirmed his 1-year sentence. Yet, all of a sudden, it's hot and bothered the Justice Department so badly that they've got to go in front of a federal judge on a Saturday morning and ask that a date be set where Devon Archer reports to jail? 2 days before he's supposed to appear behind closed doors in front of the House Oversight Committee? I'm sorry. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what the Department of Justice says. I don't care what Devon Archer's attorney is saying. This is blatant intimidation. This is an attempt to try to scare Devon Archer before he walks into that committee hearing and tells what he knows. And he knows a lot. What all does he know, you might ask? Well, let me give you an idea of just how big a witness that Devon Archer is. Here's a snippet of an interview between Guy Benson of Fox Business News and Miranda Devine of the New York Post. Now, if you're not familiar with Miranda Devine, you need to be following her work because she's been all over the Hunter Biden story for years. Take a listen to this exchange, which is just extraordinarily telling. When you hear this, you're going to begin to understand why it is Devon is so desperately important to the Republicans and so desperately detrimental to the Biden family. Listen to this.
You use the word awkward. This is going to be awkward for him. Why is that? Explain his relationship to this family and why his level of knowledge is important here.
Devon Archer was Hunter Biden's best friend in business. They met at Yale and they were in business together and friendship together for many years throughout Joe Biden's vice presidency. And they made a fair amount of money together. And then eventually, Devon Archer came unstuck with their last joint venture, which was this company called Burnham, which ended up dissolving into fraud convictions for numerous people involved, other than Hunter Biden, even though Hunter Biden was listed, I think, as vice chairman and earned a couple of $100,000. And Devon Archer lost millions of dollars on the deal. He's the one going to jail. And I think he would feel fairly bitter about that. I know friends around him say that he feels that he's just been abandoned by the Bidens, having been promised by Hunter that he was family, that he was blood, that he was a part of a great family, the Bidens, who would never abandon him. And I think that's the opposite that has happened to Devon Archer.
Well, now you begin to understand why it is that Devon is so crucial to this whole thing. Yes, there are many other witnesses that could probably corroborate what people have been saying, that Joe Biden was most certainly aware of his son Hunter's business dealings, and that he was very much aware to the point he was even in on the conversations. But Devon is the one person that can absolutely tie them together. And frankly, he has nothing to lose. As Miranda Devine correctly points out, he got cut loose by the Bidens a long time ago, which, by the way, Devon, you should have realized given the family history, when they tell you that you're part of the family, don't put a whole lot of stock in that. Look at how they treat each other. What do you think they were going to do to you? But I digress. Laying all that aside, you begin, as I said, Devon is critical to the investigation. He can put them in the same room together. How critical is it? What is it will he say? Well, listen to another exchange between Miranda Devine and Guy Benson. This one is very telling as well.
As I previewed on Monday, what Devon Archer is expected to tell Congress and the Oversight Committee is pretty damaging to Joe Biden, because it just blows up his entire story about knowing nothing about his son Hunter's overseas business dealings. Here we've got Devon Archer saying that, well, Joe Biden was dialed in by Hunter on speakerphone on up to 24 occasions to speak with his overseas business partners, that Joe Biden came along to 2 dinners at least at Cafe Milano in Georgetown, again to meet Hunter Biden's business partners, again while he was vice president. So
if that is what Devon Archer testifies to behind closed doors, then Joe Biden's ability to say, I didn't know anything about my son's business dealings, is shot to hell. The Bidens know this. I'm sorry, I don't care what the DOJ says, and I don't care what Devon Archer's attorney says. This attempt over the weekend to try and get a date certain for when Devon should report to jail is a shot across the bow. They're trying to send a message. They are absolutely trying to intimidate a witness that's going before Congress. People try to make comparisons all the time between present scandals and scandals of old, particularly the days of Watergate, particularly the days of Nixon. Well, you know what? If ever there was a comparison that might very well stick, this could be it. This is nothing more than shameless intimidation tactics. So much so, in fact, that 2 members of Congress, separately on their own, have come to the same conclusion. Take a look at this. This is an article from the New York Post. DOJ tries to jail key Hunter Biden witness Devon Archer on eve of testimony. Go to the bottom of the article, and you find quotes from Matt Gaetz when he says the following. The DOJ is now actively committing the crime of obstructing a congressional investigation. Senator Rand Paul, Republican Kentucky, shared Gates' tweet, adding, "This is getting to be banana republic territory. They are moving from indicting their opponents to throwing witnesses in jail on the eve of congressional testimony." Now, in all fairness, they filed the motion this Saturday. The lawyer for Devon Archer, Mr. Schwartz, won't be able to respond to it until Wednesday. So strictly speaking, this isn't going to stop Devon Archer from giving his testimony. But I'm sorry, there's no way in the world you can't convince me or anyone else that this is not a good old-fashioned, hey, Devon, look over your shoulder. Hi, we're here. We're watching. This is absolutely ridiculous. No, it's past the point of ridiculous. This is so blatant and in your face that when the American people realize what the Biden Department of Justice is trying to do, any hope that Joe Biden has left that the American people might be on his side is probably going to disappear. It's one thing to go after your political opponent, Donald Trump. There are going to be people out there who don't like him. They don't like what he stands for. They don't like the way he does things. They don't like his style, whatever. But when you go after your son's former business partner trying to scare him on the eve of congressional testimony, that ought to say everything to everybody that they need to hear. So we're going to keep an eye on this. As I say, the testimony is going to be behind closed doors, so we're not going to know immediately what was said, but I'll be very interested to see what Devon Archer's got to say. And if Miranda Devine is correct in what she thinks Devon Archer is going to testify to, yeah, we're one step closer to an article of impeachment. But that's what I think about it. What do you think? As we start to wrap up this video, please do me some favors as always. Number 1, if you are not a subscriber to the channel, please do so. Number 2, please leave a comment below. Really helps me out on the algorithm. Number 3, share the video around with friends of yours. Number 4, please give me a thumbs up. And number 5, please help me out in any way you can. I genuinely appreciate it. My name is Brian Trippett. I am your Front Porch Conservative, and I'll see you next time.